Welcome to Scarecrow Miniature Painting. I'm Steven, and this is part 4 of our highlighting and our object source lighting tutorial and walkthrough. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to do some touch-ups, some final cleaning of the miniatures, making sure that the colors are vibrant enough and standing out. We're going to focus more on this figure right now. And then we'll move on to this one. This one has a couple of touch-ups on the arm underneath and then a little bit on the chest. Beyond that, he actually does not need that many touch-ups. He might need one on the back of his leg. However, this one, we have a second coat to do on the tunic, the browns, the bracers. He has, after looking at my source material right here, you can see that his tunic sleeve is also colored in. With the color of the tunics, we're going to paint that blue today and then touch it up with some chrome. And his bracers look like they might actually be an extension of the sleeves. We're going to paint those blue as well. And then beyond that, all we will have left to do is that inner circle, which we are going to be doing in bronze. We have his sword, which we're going to be doing in gunmetal steel. And then we can begin our highlighting on him. I'm going to touch up some of the black on him as well. This way on his head as well. This way it just looks more natural. So first and foremost, let's cover up the biggest issue I had with this figure, which was a massive spot on the bottom of the arm that needs to be covered up in black. So I'm just going to make sure I get my median out of the black. I'm going to put a little dollop because we're not going to need much on this one. And as in Scarecrow miniature fashion, we're going to just take our napkin, dip it in the water since we don't have any thinning material, add a drop of water if it decides to come out. For some reason, it's not going to come out today. There we go. Okay, so now we get our brushes out. Now, as I said before, I use the EOO IP Art Stationery. It's an acrylic paint set. This can be found on Amazon, and it's spelled EOOCOOIP. So we're just going to take our smallest fine tip brush, dip it in there just so we have a good median. We're going to mix that water together, take some of that off, and I'm going to go under here and I'm going to touch up that black. Now he doesn't have that much black that needs touched up. We're going to focus more so with him on his browns, on the brown on his tunic, but he does have a little bit on his hair we can touch up before we get into our other colors. I'm going to touch up the beard while I'm here. Some of the beard is darker. I'm going to touch up that mustache that we made yesterday as well. And there you go. He is looking good. So with that being done, we are going to now move on over to our leather brown. Now, if you watched our last video, the leather brown was going to be more of an accent color for the sleeve or for the tunic. So that is exactly what we're going to be doing with this one. And just like the last few videos, I will make these shorter. This video we are going to shoot for the 30-minute mark. The next video the same. And then the next video after that probably around the same. Hopefully the next video is the final video that we need for this series. I'm a person who I don't like to delve far too deep into making a long series. I would prefer if I can get what I need completed as soon as I can. But if it does go into a 5th or even a 6th video, we'll make that work. Primarily because the whole point of this series is to educate people who either don't know what object source lighting is or are unfamiliar with all of the terms that we use in the hobby, such as object source lighting or highlighting. After we finish the tunic here, we are going to move on to the rest of his belt. There are some spots that we can fix up on that as well. And then we will move on to his bracers and his sleeves of his arms. And we'll move on to his sword after that. A couple of updates to the channel I do want to make people aware of. With Memorial Day weekend being this weekend, I know I typically upload once a day, if not more, with shorts. However, I will not be filming over the weekend, and I will not be releasing videos over the weekend. If these videos decide they want to, if this goes into a part 7 or part 8, there is a chance that we will not move videos out, but prolong them and schedule them for future release. When it comes to scheduling for future releases, I am trying to limit and mitigate the amount of future releases we are doing, mainly because I enjoy the camaraderie of talking with you all and making sure that everything that we are teaching you here is understood and everything like that, which is why we highly recommend, if you do have any questions or you want some feedback on anything, feel free to drop a comment, go on our Facebook page at scarecrowmanager.com. That link is always available in our descriptions. And just ask questions on, hey, how did how are you able to get that effect going for that specific miniature, or can you look at, if I send you a picture on Messenger or whatnot, can you look at it and tell me if there's anything that you would work on it, and I will give you any update. The next update I want to go over is actually a really exciting one. So if you watched our short from this morning, probably around mid-afternoon my time, I'm in the central region, or central time zone I should say. We did get confirmation that our Fiverr store, Scarecrow Miniatures, is up and running now. So if you want to purchase miniatures that I have either painted or want your miniature painted, no, the primary service that we're providing on that website is miniature painting services. So let's go over what I mean by that. Exactly what I'm doing here, just painting the miniature. That is primarily what we will be doing on the website. Once we get a large enough community and I get enough area to do so, we may consider branching out to miniature printing. There's a couple things I want to do before we do go that route, though. One of them being, if I have the time and money, because printing miniatures is not as cheap as a lot of people would suspect. It does take time, it does take money. But I would love to eventually begin doing that as well. I'm just doing a quick double check to see if there's anything else I want to redo on him. We're going to double check. Okay. So we are going to take that black that we had. We are going to just dollop it on the inside. And the reason we're dolloping it on the inside is because there's actually supposed to be a shirt there. And we are going to paint the undershirt the same color that it already is, which is black. So we're just carefully pulling that around. Okay. So you'll see me wiping off the brush and continuously moving on to another paint, just because I want to make sure that we can get this done within the allotted time frame that I've given myself. But I also want to make sure we can move on to the next steps, which the biggest one is going to be highlighting, in my opinion. Now, that's not saying that the object source lighting is not important, because it is. But on the scale of the models, because we're trying to get a more display quality miniature, we are wanting to get them as close to display quality as we can with the scale. Now you see me switching back over to the other Necromancer, and there's a good reason for that. While I got this paint already on here, after I've looked at the time, I do want to hit those few spots, such as behind his knee, his cloak. There's a little bit on his pike and his back that I want to just quickly double tap this way that when it dries, it looks good as new. We're going to move back to the other figure now. We're going to do the belt next. Now, if you remember, we did that belt in red, mainly because it is a great accent color to that deep blue that we have. We're just going to add a couple of dollops of water. We're going to mix that up. Pull that up. Okay. But yes, back to the future of the channel. The Etsy store, like I said, is up and running. I am excited about that, mainly because it gives us more room to grow as a community as well, because it allows those that did not know about us as a community to go on Etsy and find us and learn what it is that we do here at Scarecrow Miniatures that makes us a valuable asset to the miniature community. And I'm a firm believer that any and all miniature painters are a valuable asset to the community. Some of my favorite miniature painters are Dr. Faust, Squidmar does some really good miniatures. Gazorpazorp does amazing miniatures. But those are some of my favorite miniature painters in the hobby currently. And my goal as a content creator, and I hope that you all will agree with me on this, is to not exceed those excellent content creators, but to grow with them. Dingo Doodles does an amazing job with her videos as well. She's not a miniature painter, however, she does print and generate miniatures. And she does an amazing job with that. If you haven't checked out her videos, please go and do so. I promise you that you will not regret it. Her current main series, Fool's Gold, has amazing twists, amazing turns, and honestly, some heart-wrenching moments. This is coming from somebody who's played D&D for years. I have honestly never cried for a fictional character like I did with one of her characters in her campaign. Um, but that is pretty much the update for today. Like I said, I do want to get more of a. Uh, I do want to grow the community more. I do want to make sure that we, as a collective community, spread the word of our channel and make sure that we are going above and beyond 24/7 with serving every single one of you. One of the big things I really want to make sure that we are going over is treating everybody with respect. I do monitor closely our comment sections and our on both the YouTube and the Facebook page. So if you do feel that somebody, if you are on those pages and you do feel somebody is harassing you or leaving unwanted and uncharacteristic email or comments to you, please let me know, and I will handle it swiftly and firmly with them, because that is not it's personally not welcome within our community. I fully understand a little bit of back and forth, but if somebody is outright harassing somebody, please let me know, even if you are not involved. Mainly because we want everyone to feel welcome here. That's the big thing. We want everyone to feel welcome in our community, and we can't do that without the support of everybody in it. So I'm going to add on the bottom here, between that brown. I was debating on if I was going to leave this black, but I have decided on making it blue. However, his actual sleeves on his arms will be black. We are going to have to do a little bit of brown touch up right there, but that is fine. Actually, no, we won't. Now that I'm looking at that mold line, we can actually just blend that into there. And there we have it so far. So he is turning out wonderful, in my opinion. He does have some lines on his shoulders that we are going to add leather brown accents to now that I'm looking at it. But let's get to those bracers. So these bracers are actually going to be pretty easy to do. The only thing is freehanding the stripes on it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nosler's miniatures, as good as wonderful as they are, as cheap as they are on some websites, if you are purchasing miniatures online, I highly recommend going through Goblin Bazaar or even Miniature Market. especially if you're in the continental United States for either of those. But the mold lines on the miniatures do not last. It is an issue that I've had since day one of being a miniature painter, is trying to make sure that we get those mold lines to stick to where they need to go. And we usually do not get that luxury. I'm going to take some of this black real quick. There's a dot on his arm I want to clean up. I did not see before. And on his back. So that actually might just be lighting. That's the issue with matte black, is sometimes when you're looking at it, you can't tell, is that supposed to be there or is that the color? So we're going to put him down. We're going to work on him next video. We're trying to finish up this guy first before we go on to highlighting. I want both of these base coated to the full detail before we do begin highlighting. So I do apologize if you are joining the video and trying to figure out why we have not highlighted yet. That is why. Bear with me while I finish up the sleeves on this one. Now, once again, with these Nosler miniatures, it is hard to see where some specific mold lines are. So what I'm going to do is, our frame of reference has 3 of them. I am only going to do 1. Not to sound lazy, but mainly because I really think only 1 is needed. As you can see, his shoulder sleeves already pop out pretty well. And we can even take that leather brown and run it over these bracers. Now, I was debating on doing the bracers in a bronze or if I was going to do them in the brown. So let's see what the brown looks like for right now. And that actually looks really good. So we're going to leave them brown. And we'll also do some touch-ups on him because there are some black spots that we want black that this brown has somewhat taken over. We're going to do some touch-ups on the brown while we're at it, because there are some on the cloak that I believe we could focus a little bit more on and clean up. And a lot of that cleanup will also be done during the highlighting stage, which is something that I always tell people. If you have very little to clean up, save it for highlighting, because where you want your highlight might actually go there. However, seeing where they are on this figure, I do not want that brown there. So we will do some touch-ups before we get into the highlighting on him. We are getting close to being done with basing this one. And I am proud of how he turned out. like I said, I wasn't sure about the brown on the bracers. I personally feel that the pure blue bracer, even as minimal as it is, just has a more vibrant look to it. And as you can see, like even the back detail on that little band around him in red is a great highlight and great touch to the figure itself. We're at the 30-minute mark. We'll go to 35 on this video, and whatever we have left to do on this guy, we will touch up on in the next video. Mainly because we are nearly done with him specifically. I do want to do a quick touch up on the hands with that tan leather. I apologize, my stand fell over somehow. Let's see if I can get it back up. There we go. I'm not going to worry about cutting that out of the video, mainly because the last time I did try cutting it out, that is when we got the original corrupted video of video 1. But I'm just going to do a quick touch up on the tail, on some spots, and on the hand. And we might have, we might even have some touch-up spots we might have to do on the other figure. So we will see once we get to that figure, which is why it's always a good thing when you're using your wet palette. I'll show you it here in a second. To sometimes space your miniature or your paints apart so that they are designated to each area you want it. So for instance, hair, skin tone, cloak, tunic, whatever it is, try and space it out. But I'm going to take my napkin here. I'm just going to dab it on there because that was a little too excessive on that hand for my liking. Look at the tail. There is a spot on the tail I can do real quick. But there we have it. He is almost done. I'm going to touch up the face because a little bit of that side right there is not looking how I want it to look. Let's look at this side. Let's get his brow a little bit more. But there we have him so far. I'm going to touch up the bottom of this brown while we got a couple minutes left. And then we will finish him off in video 2 with his sword. Now, his sword we're going to do in gunmetal. And we're going to specifically focus that gunmetal onto the blade. And the reason I chose gunmetal is because it's one of, if not the darker silvers I do possess in my paints. And when doing highlights, you'll see why that's important, especially with metallic paints. Now, we could have done a non-metallic metallic, which is taking non-metallic paints and making it look as if it was metallic. However, that is a technique that even I have not fully trained myself to feel comfortable doing. I am working on that, however. But beyond that, thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our Facebook community. And to check out our Etsy shop. The link will be in the bio or the description of this channel, or of the video, I should say. And have a great night.